2024. I believe this is Flosstube 67. And it's only been about a week or so since my last video, so I don't have a lot of stitching to show, but I do have a little bit. I have been stitching. So I have some updates to show you on my whips. I have a new start. I am going to announce giveaway winners. I want to talk about my Mania plans, aka Sania, and I have a new SAL to announce and talk about. So some good things, so stay tuned. Thanks for being here today, whether you're new or returning. I'm really happy to have you along for the ride. So we'll start with my whips, as I usually like to start with whips. I'm doing a couple of Facebook group acrostics and different stitching challenges. You know, I always am very gung-ho at the beginning of each month. I sign up for all these things. The sneezes are coming now. So at the beginning of the month, I always sign up for all these different Facebook challenges, and I'm really into it at first, and then I get overwhelmed and I don't. But at the first week of the month, I usually do follow the prompts. So I have been. And so a few of the things that I've been stitching on for that, and just because, in my friend Beth, the Steadfast Stitcher, her group Crafts and Books, she posts a monthly acrostic each month. And for May, it's flowers. And so F, I took to mean, to stitch on flowers of all things. So for that one, I worked on this. This is Autumn Season by Imaginating. This is almost finished. There's just a row of pumpkins on the bottom there that needs to be stitched, and a few fill-ins of some leaves and stems and vines and things like that. But overall, it's getting pretty near a finish. I stitched about 500 stitches on this in the last few days, so I did see some good progress on that. I stitched the bottom pumpkin patch and filled in a lot more of the border and started on some of the pumpkins down there, or one of the pumpkins. That's on a 32 count Lugana, just in an ivory, I believe, or an antique white with DMC. And then I'm trying to always put stitches as much as I can into my Sew to Stitch Winter Treehouse. I have made progress since I last showed it. I've added more of the branches. I found one of the colors that I didn't have, or I didn't know where it was, and I discovered it, and so I've been filling all of that in. I've put in a lot more tree trunk this week since I last showed it. So that's making pretty good progress. I'm sort of stitching in chunks of color on that one, I think. One thing I pulled out the other day and stitched on that I hadn't had out, I think, all year so far, was my Ladybird fairy. This is a Joan Elliot fairy. You know what? She is like, let me do this. Because I had spilled tea on her on the bottom of the fabric, and so I never did get the stain out, because it was, when I tried to start testing it, it was rinsing the hand-dyed, the color out, so I sort of just left it, but I don't think it'll show up anyway when I frame it. It'll be okay. So for this, here's my M, and I pulled her out the last couple of days, and I finished up her arm. So her arm is where I last worked on. It is finished stitching. I'm stitching the arm, the skin 1/1. I'm sort of regretting it now because there's so much skin on her. She has more skin than any of the other ladies that I've done so far, because her legs are bare, and so she's fancy and carefree in the springtime with the ladybugs, as she should be, but she doesn't have a massive flowing gown covering down to her feet like most of my other ladies that I've done. So, and she's got, she's got a chest there and everything, skin, so it's a lot. But the arm is done, and the little spot that's not stitched, I don't know if you can see it, is empty because it will have beads there. She has a bracelet of beads in that spot there. So that's why that's there. So that was encouraging to get at least that filled in for now, and then, I'll go back to the upper part of her later. I worked on some more. It's not real exciting, but I did work some more on my Signs of Christmas. I'm doing the gingerbread. This is a Shannon Christine design. I'm doing the gingerbread bakery. This is my color conversion. It's not, the original is in green and red, and I changed it to the same greens and then blues, 995 and 996. The brown is different. The brown is 610. And I just filled in more white. I finished the thread that I had here, and then I stitched more white along this border up here, and so I got a lot more of the frame done. So I don't have too much more to do. That is one of my Whipco pieces, as is the autumn piece and the winter treehouse. I put a few stitches in another Whipco piece that I have is And Be Kind sampler. So I haven't been saying what these are, if anybody really cares all that much. This is a 32 count Lugana. It's light mocha, I believe. I think it's light mocha from Zweigart. It's not it's not mottled or anything like that. It's just solid. This is Vintage Country Mocha. This is And Be Kind sampler from Needlework Press. This is a 36 count, I think, linen. Yeah. So this one has fancy flosses as charted, plus I think the light brown is DMC. And is it upside down? No, it's not. It's just very wrinkled. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. So what I did this week is I started on this house here, this red house. I started that, and I'm just using the DMC for that. It's like 38.57, I think, because I don't have the fancy floss for that. And I had put off starting it because I was waiting that I was going to add that, and then I decided I'm just going to go ahead and use the DMC there. I think it'll be all right. So that got started. The house got started. On April 29th, I thought, ooh, I better get out my start for leap year. I did do a new start. If some of you may remember, I did a new start on February 29th for leap year. And I decided to do I don't think I have it. Let me see. Yes, I do. I found it. So I'm doing this piece. It's called Patchwork Village. This is an older vintage piece. I think it's copyright 91 or 92. So, you know, it's that late 80s, early 90s vibe by Linda Myers that I bought this chart on Sandra Stitch Stash. And my friend Stitchy Linda, who lives just a couple hours from me, and we've met a couple times in person at Brick City Cross Stitch. She commented my last time I showed this that she stitched quite a few of these Linda Myers patterns, and she shared pictures with me and sent me photos, and they've turned out really pretty. So I felt encouraged because I was feeling a little bit discouraged about the colors that this was using with the, not turning out. They don't look like the photo. The photo must have been edited because the colors are very vibrant and bright, and I love the blues and browns. And when I started stitching it, it turns out that they are charted in a more primitive color palette. So I didn't do a whole lot more work on it this, on the one day of the 29th of April, but I found that even just getting it back out again, I felt better about it because now I knew it wasn't a surprise anymore. And so it's still on this Q-snap here. And this is where I got with it. It's not much since I last showed it. I started filling in this dusty rose color, this mauve, I guess it would be. I did a few more of these things, these little windmill pinwheel things, and I started filling in some of the mauve. So it was a very little bit of stitching. It was only like a couple minutes, and then I was done because it was like the end of the night. It was like, oh, I better just get a couple stitches in. At this rate, I won't finish it. If I only stitch on it one day a month, I won't finish it in 4 years, so I'll have to work on it more than that. Or, even if I do it only on one day a month, it'll have to be more than that, because it's a pretty good sized piece. That's just the border, starting the border. But I felt more encouraged about it. I felt better about it. Boy, you can't get more 90s than that mauve and that dusty blue, right? I mean, that was the color scheme back then. You remember the geese? I still have somewhere cross-stitch geese. I had a booklet, probably from Leisure Arts or Stony Creek, still have it, of geese, in the 90s, and it was the thing. And, it's funny, not to ramble too much, but it's funny, when I was a kid, when I was growing up, I would have been 11 in 91. No, I'd be 11 turning 12 in 91. And I I remember that thinking that people who had the country geese in their house and the color scheme of mauve and dusty blue, that they were wealthy people, and that was like the pinnacle of home decor. It was what I strove for, and I always wanted, you know, when I grew up, never thinking like maybe when I grow up that won't be the thing anymore. But you know what? Maybe it'll make a comeback. Things do. Things do. I wanted to show you my cute little owl, my Christmas owl, because he hasn't been out in a very long time. And I'm going to put some stitches in him today because one of the letters for flowers for the acrostic is O, and I thought, you know what? I'm pulling out my owl and I'm finishing him finally. He's been lingering in this state for quite a while. This is a Durene Jones pattern, and it's on probably a 32 count. There's a set of 4 in the, you know, when you buy it. I bought it on Etsy, and he's the first one that I started. It's on this piece of fabric that I had started a Broadway SAL. I love Broadway, I love musical theater, and there had been a SAL by a group, a team that does cross-stitch SALs. And so that's what, I don't know if it was, any of that was like peeking through, but it wasn't quite, you know, what I had expected. I mean, that's always the chance with SALs. So I decided to just reuse that. Instead of pulling stuff out, I just decided to stitch smaller little ornament things on there. So I'll cut him out and I'll stitch the other owls on it too. So he's getting some stitches. I have to remember what I converted to because I changed the blues based on what I had at the time. This was a few years ago, and I don't remember quite what it was, but I think I sort of do, so I'll figure that out. I do have a new start to show you. If this goes with my Mania plans, some of you may or may not know Stitch Mania was started a few years ago. Oh, it's probably been, what, 6, 7, 8 years ago. It was a Facebook group called, well, there was 1 or 2 stitchers that started Mania, and then they formed a Facebook group called Stitch Mania. And what he was doing, I think it was Coffee Stitcher, and what he was doing was he was starting 1 new piece every day in May, or at least for half the month or something. And so a lot of people have taken that and gone with it, and that group is no longer active, and I don't know that that's, you know, but it's still a thing. It's stuck. So that's too much for me. I think I tried that 1 year, and I was like, no, I can't do that. It's too much for me. But I decided what I do like is Maynia. And I think the first place I remember hearing that is Lindy Stitches. I know that Lindy Stitches, Stephanie, she's talked about Maynia for years, where you pick only a few things to start in the month of May. And so because May started this year on Wednesday, and I believe there are 5 in the month of May, I am starting a new start on Wednesday. However, I'm not supposed to be starting anything new until I finish something, and I haven't felt the need to really start a whole lot of things, and haven't really wanted to start things because I want to finish things. I want to work on my whips, but I also don't know if it's very realistic for me to finish something every week with where my whips are right now. I don't know, but it's something I could strive for at least. I did have a finish this, oh boy, what day did I finish it? I think the end of April. I don't remember. It's on my Instagram. I finished Merry Christmas Silhouette. It's the title of the pattern. This is from Stony Creek. And this is the finish. It's just a small little, it's not been ironed obviously. You know, over the years I've heard a couple of Flosstubers complain about Threadworks and say it's they felt like it was an awful floss to stitch with and never again, and they had to convert out, and and there's one big Flosstuber that I've heard say Threadworks shouldn't be allowed to sell floss because it's so horrible. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, and I certainly have products that I don't like, but I personally found this thread, this is the first Threadworks that I've worked with, and it's a cotton thread, but I found it lovely to work with. I had no problem with it. This is one strand over 2, and it gives it kind of a lacy, you know, it's not as dark as the cover photo, but I really liked it. I enjoyed working with it. I have plenty left over from this skein, so I will hopefully find another project to use that, you know, to use up the rest of it on with the red and the green irrigation. Okay, so back to my new start. So that was a finish since my last video. And then this is my new start. So on the 1st, I started this. This is called My Garden. It's by Soda Stitch. I'm having a real hard time getting a good picture of this completed piece. The only place I've been able to find it is on Etsy itself. And when you try to take a screenshot now on Etsy, it messes up the picture. At least in my experience, I haven't figured out how to get, and you can't save it like you do other photos because Etsy is funny about that. So I will try to get a good picture of it if I can find it. If not, just look it up if you're interested in seeing what the final piece looks like. Because I have a PDF pattern, I do not have a paper picture to show you. I don't usually print out. I printed out the pattern, but I don't usually print out the cover photo, just because I don't usually. So this is where I am on it. This is a shed, basically, if you can see it with the colors. This is a shed. And I know I can see that I have a fly in here flying around, and I'm really sorry the door was open earlier. This is my bedroom, and I have a back door here that goes outside to my patio. And it was open earlier because the dogs were going in and out, and so I see that there's a fly here, and I'm just too lazy to like stop and deal with it right now. I'll take care of it later. And plus I have a light on, and I don't know. Do flies? I don't know. Anyway, that's a whole other thing, so never mind that. I apologize though. Anyway, I love it. This is like 2 days of stitching, and I mean like a couple hours. Obviously I don't have time to stitch all day. I wish I did, but I don't. But this is the top of the shed. This is going to be a heart if it's showing up. I can't wait to backstitch that heart because so to stitch, oh my goodness, they're so cute with their little hearts and things that they put on. And then this purple is the top of the collar of I guess a coat that's randomly hanging there. Maybe it's like a cover so you don't get your clothes dirty. Anyway, I've had that pattern a long time that I bought and printed out, and I've been wanting to start it forever because I want to gift it to my mother. She's a master gardener. She's a wonderful gardener. Here in Florida, it is tough to garden. You have a lot to contend with. We have sandy soil because she's not far from the coast. And then, you know, the heat, and because we don't have very much like hard freezes, the bugs never really go away, and they don't really get killed off properly like they do up north. And so, yeah, gardening is very challenging here. You have to grow things kind of in a backwards kind of time period. Like the seed packets are not even accurate even for Florida. So anyway, she's very good. She grows us all sorts of stuff. She just brought us goodies yesterday. So I'd really love to gift this to her. Her birthday is in August. I would love to have this finished by then. I don't know that that's going to happen, especially if I'm trying to finish other things as well that are on my Whipco board. But this is my first start for Mania. I have 4 other starts planned. I don't know what they all are, but I do know a couple things that I do want to start. And so I looked for them, and then I was like, you know what? Instead of like pulling all my baskets out and rooting through them right now before this video, I am just going to put a picture up on the screen of what it is. So one of them is this fairy, moon fairy. I don't remember the exact name of the chart off the top of my head. It's a dimensions kit. Amanda at Lucky Chance Stitcher just finished this. She stitched it on a beautiful fabric, hand-dyed fabric that's probably a Rolanda fabric. I don't remember exactly, but I think it's probably a Rolanda fabric. And it looks beautiful. If you haven't seen it, go check out her Instagram and her last Flosstube. She did a beautiful job with it. Instead of stitching, because all that background there that's on that picture is stitched in the kit. And then I saw that Pfeiffer, Twisted Stitcher, is talking about starting it in May for her monogamous May. So she'll be stitching it according to her plans. And then 911 Stitcher commented on Vanna's Facebook post and said that she has it and that she also would like to start it. So I'm hoping that she's starting it too. I don't know. But seeing those 2 ladies stitch it and how Amanda's turned out, I do have it in my dimension stash. So I thought this is going to have to be one of my Sania starts. This fly is really bugging me. But, and of course the only place he wants to fly is like right here. It's like, dude, like go fly someplace else. Go fly out. The door's not open anymore, but yeah, sorry. What else? Oh, okay, so then that gives me 3 more Wednesdays to start something. I am going to finally start another full coverage from Artisy. I've had this one for years and years and years and wanted to start it and never have. So I did kit it up. I have it ready to go. This is, I don't remember the name of it either off the top of my head. I think it's Dragon's Lair, but I'm not positive. And I really like it. It's a wizard and a dragon fighting. I guess it's a dragon. It looks like a dragon. It reminds me of Lord of the Rings, which technically I know that that's not, you know, Gandalf doesn't fight a dragon, it's a Balrog, right? But I, you know, close enough for now. You know, maybe he ran into Smaug. I don't know. I mean, he did. He wasn't there. Anyway, again, that's a whole other video. You know, I took my son a couple weeks ago to this little diner here in the little town that we live in. The town that we're in has an agriculture background. It's a suburb of Tampa. And it was like it's the strawberry capital basically of the area. And so, long story short, it was also a railroad junction for the area. There was a bunch of railroad crossings. Like there were train stops, lots and lots of railroads, still are. I mean, there's trains all the time going around this place. And there is a little diner downtown in my town called the Whistle Stop Cafe. And of course, that's the name of the one in the Fried Green Tomatoes, if any of you remember that movie or that book. Great book, great movie. And so we have a Whistle Stop Cafe, which is right by our old train depot. That's now like it's not active, but it's there as a tourist thing. So anyway, I've been in this town for 10 years, almost 11 years, and I've never been there. It's been there the whole time. So I took my son for a lunch date. It was just me and him one day, and I said, let's go over there and get something. So we did, and we met the owners. It's a mother and a son now. And they're so talkative and so wonderful. And we walked in, and it was a beautiful day. We wanted to sit outside, but when we walked into the cafe at first, the guy at the counter was talking to some people at a table about Lord of the Rings, and he was saying, yeah, I would encourage you to give Lord of the Rings another chance, and give it another try. You might like it. And then they got to talking about some different things. And so when we went outside and sat at our table, when he came out to bring us our sandwiches, I guess he's the son of the older lady that took our order, but anyway, he came out. And so I said to him, well, I knew I was in the right place when I walked in and I heard you talking about Lord of the Rings. And of course he's like, oh my gosh, and he just went on and started talking about the messages and the humanity and the blah, 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 blah. It was pretty cool because the town that I live in, I tend to stereotype it. And I wouldn't typically think that there would be a lot of the Lord of the Rings fans here. But it was really fun to see that there are, and he even had his wedding ring is the one ring with it has the inscription on it, and he has the sword in his house, and his wife is super into it, and they did their marriage vows in costume, and the Arwen and Aragorn, and so it's oh my gosh, this is so cool. Anyway, I just thought that was so cool. And so of course I'm gonna have to go back again, but I'm gonna have to be in a talking mood. It's not a place to go and just enjoy your lunch in silence. They're both very, very friendly and very, very talkative people. We then discussed classic literature over the cash register while people lined up behind me, and we talked about, what did we talk about? The Count of Monte Cristo, and then he was telling me about Sandman by Neil Gaiman, and so that was cool. Who knew that this little Hickville, town would have, I would be talking about classic literature and Lord of the Rings. It just goes to show I have to not stereotype and expand out a little bit. That was not planned. So back to Mania. That leaves me that leaves me two more Wednesdays. One's open. I have not decided for sure on the 4th Wednesday. The 5th Wednesday, the last Wednesday, is May 29th. And that one, I do know what I'm doing, and I'm super excited to tell you because I'm hoping you will join me and my friend Amber, Rogue Mama Stitcher. This was her idea. I give her all the credit, but I am also hosting it with her, and I'm super excited about it. This is called Spring Forest Scrapbook, and it is charted by Stephanie at Lindy Stitches and by Janine at Blue Flower, and we are going to do a stitch along, and it's just hashtag Spring Forest Scrapbook SAL. Wow, right? Who knew? We're starting at May 29th. I do not have the patterns to show up yet. I'm waiting on them. I ordered them from 123 Stitch along with the called for fabric, although I may switch it out. I still have to go through my stash. You know, I procrastinate and do everything last minute. So that having said that, I hope that you will join us on the 29th of May and start this. We're going to stitch it. We're both stitching it all as one piece together. But, you know, you could stitch them as little pillows. You could just stitch it as separate smalls, however you wanted to do it, or even just a quote. So please join us. I would love to see what everybody's doing. Different types of fabric, different types of flosses, however you want to make it work for you. Speaking of fabric, I'm going to go back real quick to this because I forgot to tell you about this because I love this fabric. This fabric is called Cozy Cave. I was calling it Cozy Cove, but I went back and looked at the paper on it, which was written. I bought this from Brick City Cross Stitch in Ocala, Florida. It's called Cozy Cave and it's by Fortnite Fabrics, and I really like it. It's my first piece of Fortnite. I'd never ordered from them before, but I kept seeing, every time I went into Brick City, I kept seeing this bolt of fabric on the wall, and it kept calling out to me and speaking to me, and it's just, I don't know why, it's just so pretty. It's tan, light brown, but it has these flecks of gray blue, like a dusty kind of denim-y gray blue, I guess. And it's just so pretty in person. I think it's a linen. It's got to be a linen. And it's a 32 count. So this is Cozy Cave. And I believe I have 2 pieces of it. And I bought it, you know, when I bought it, I didn't know what I was going to stitch on it. And just had to have it. I was just like, I got to have it. Because I saw it, didn't get it, went back again, saw it, oh, I really... So then the third time I went back, I was like, I bought 2 pieces of it. I love it for the garden thing. It's just perfect because I feel like it's earthy and it kind of has the smudges of the gray in it, kind of like dirt. So I think it's perfect for that. Okay, now it's time to announce the giveaway, which is what you've all been waiting for. I've been sitting here trying to figure this thing out. The YouTube comment picker has apparently changed, and I didn't realize like how they do it. They added a lot of like paid features now. So I was still sort of trying to figure it out. So I think this will do it. Yeah, okay, got it. So I had a giveaway in my last video for hitting 3,000 subscribers a couple of months ago. The gift is to go to Sandra's Stitch Stash, and I will post a picture of my poll. It is May 3rd, 24 at 2 o'clock p.m. It's the first thing that came up. I had 24 entries. And the winner is Wendy Kaufman, 5161. Congratulations, Wendy. Her comment said, congratulations on 3,000 subscribers. It's definitely an achievement to be proud of. So thank you everyone for entering. I will be doing more giveaways this year. I love to do giveaways. So Wendy, we need to get a hold of one another. Give me a shout either in the comments, because I need to know that it's from the same account, or from Instagram if your Instagram name is the same as your YouTube name, because I've had issues before with that sort of thing. So we'll figure that out. We'll see how we'll somehow get a hold of one another, because I need your address, or I need your email address at least, so that I can send you the gift card to Sandra's Stitch Stash. So congratulations, and thank you again for everyone who entered, and for watching, and for being here and joining me in my cross stitching journey. So I'm gonna let you go now, and I'm gonna see you in a few weeks. I hope everyone's having a great May, whether or not you're doing something special stitching for May or not. I hope you have lots of great stitching.